The truth about guarana energy supplements. What you need to know before buying.
This is Guarana. This is Guarana. Let's just have some fun with Guarana. Let's share some fun facts about Guarana. Guarana, I don't know if you guys knew this, but it contains about twice the concentration of caffeine as a coffee bean. It is loaded with compounds that have antioxidant properties. In fact, it's often compared to green tea in that regard. Its antioxidant activity. Not a lot of people know that about guarana. And this is interesting. Some studies show that guarana may help you learn and retain information better. So like when you're learning, when you're in school, when you want to, ace that test or that certification, guarana might help you learn and retain information better. Very cool. Kind of sharpens the mind. All right, that's some fun facts about guarana. Now I'm going to show another picture and I want your guesses. If anyone gets this right, I'll be very impressed. What is this? This is ginseng. This is Panax ginseng, and very kind of funky photo here, funky looking root vegetable or root plant. But let's have some fun with ginseng. Here's some fun facts about ginseng. It has been used in traditional medicine for centuries. It contains, just like guarana, it contains antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties and could significantly improve symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome. Chronic fatigue syndrome. Very, very cool. Fun facts about ginseng that you might not have known previously. This is spirulina. Now let's talk about spirulina a little bit more. Spirulina is also known as blue-green algae. You might be familiar with the name blue-green algae. It was kind of like a really, I feel like it really burst on the scene a few years ago as really this health superfood. Blue-green algae, also known as spirulina, major food source for Mesoamericans up into the 1500s. Now that's like the ancient Americans, Aztecs, Incas, Mayas, that kind of thing, is currently being studied. This is interesting, I thought. This is currently being studied as a food source for potential long-term space travel. So we're talking about going to Mars. We're talking about these deep space explorations. Spirulina is being studied as a potential food source for that long-term space travel. And on the healthier side, spirulina provides all essential amino acids required for the body to function, which I thought was really cool and really interesting. These are the impact ingredients in PhytoPower E. Today's Weekly 20 is all about the amazing PhytoPower E. Not only these impact ingredients, but the many, many different things and ways PhytoPower E is celebrated as our one of our most popular products. We've been talking a lot about our products on these weekly 20s, and we get a lot of requests. And one of the requests we get most often is to talk about PhytoPower E, because people love this. We love it around the office. Everyone we talk to loves this product. They feel good. They know they're doing something good for their bodies. And so we want to do just a nice, good discussion and training about the wonderful product known as PhytoPower E. And the thing that makes PhytoPower E special, PhytoPower E, targeted probiotics for energy. That's what we're talking about when we talk about PhytoPower E. That's what E stands for, right? The three things that make PhytoPower E special are impact ingredients, natural caffeine, and targeted probiotics. That's going to be the focus of my discussion today and my training. We're going to talk about impact ingredients, natural caffeine, and of course, targeted probiotics, because that's what really sets PhytoPower E apart from any other stimulant or energy drink or substance available in the market today. We really have a unique and awesome product in PhytoPower E. So let's first talk about the impact ingredients. We already discussed guarana, ginseng, and spirulina. Those three make up the core, the foundation of our impact ingredients. But PhytoPower E also includes taurine, which is an amino acid that helps support the nervous system function. And it contains vitamin B complex, which are essential vitamins that support cell function and circulation. So when you drink Phytopower E, every single serving has guarana, ginseng, spirulina, taurine, and vitamin B complex. Those five impact ingredients are worth the money that you spend for Phytopower E because they are super fruits, they're super foods, they're essential amino acids and vitamins, and they have so much good benefits for our bodies. Not only in terms of just producing energy, but also mental clarity, fighting fatigue and chronic fatigue syndrome. Very, very cool stuff about the impact ingredients in Phytopower E. Now, I want to talk really quickly about natural caffeine because Phytopower E is a nice source of natural caffeine. We've got 75 milligrams of natural caffeine per serving. That's per stick pack. So every stick pack that you drink, you mix with a beverage, you're getting 75 milligrams of natural caffeine. And when I say natural, I'm really trying to emphasize natural caffeine, right? Because there's a difference between natural caffeine and synthetic caffeine. Natural caffeine comes from the earth. It comes from natural sources, nature, fruits, roots, vegetables, that kind of thing. So our caffeine, the caffeine that you find in Phytopower E comes from guarana. Mentioned earlier has, 2 or 3 times the amount of natural caffeine as a coffee bean. Sourced naturally and sustainably from guarana, an antioxidant superfood found primarily in Brazil. So why is that important? We use guarana because not only do we get awesome, really natural caffeine, but we get the other benefits of guarana as well. We get those antioxidant benefits, those natural compounds that come with the nature, right? The superfruit. Synthetic caffeine, the kind of caffeine that's found in energy drinks and sodas, it comes from a laboratory, right? It's synthesized. That's why it's called synthetic. How they do this, how they create this synthetic caffeine is they use compounds called chloroacetic acid. I think I'm saying that right, and urea. It comes from the urine of mammals, and so I just think that that's something that we should know, right? When we're drinking energy drinks and any drink or substance that contains synthetic caffeine, it's created in a lab, maybe from sources and compounds that we may not be super thrilled about putting in our bodies. So I'm sorry I went there, but I just had to get that out there. I had to say that there's a difference between natural caffeine and synthetic caffeine. And let's look at natural caffeinated sources. Now, the last thing that makes Phytopower E special is targeted probiotics. Now, targeted probiotics, of course, that's what our company is built on, right? Our company is built on microbiome care. And so, of course, targeted probiotics is the most important part of Phytopower E. It's, again, we love guarana, we love spirulina, and we love ginseng and taurine and vitamin B. These are awesome, amazing impact ingredients. But that's just a very, very small part of what makes Phytopower E so special. The thing that really, really sets Phytopower E apart from the rest of the energy drink or beverage world is targeted probiotics. Because when we care for the gut microbiome can then express its health and its well-being in lots of different functions in our bodies. And one of those functions is definitely energy and energy creation and harvesting. So when we're talking about targeted probiotics for Phytopower E, first thing we mention is 15 billion colony forming units in 3 specific targeted probiotic strains: Lactobacillus plantarum, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and Bifidobacterium infantis. These are the 3 specific strains of targeted probiotics that are found in Phytopower E. Why did we choose these specific strains? Because they are shown to have a positive impact on the energy producing and harvesting systems in the gut. There's a whole different array. There's lots and lots of different probiotics. And in fact, there's, I think, more than 1,000 different species of beneficial bacteria, probiotics, And each one of them have different little impacts in our body. So we chose specific strains of bacteria, specific probiotics to target energy production and energy harvesting. And they are, once again, Lactobacillus plantarum, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and Bifidobacterium infantis. Now, let's talk about some studies. Study findings suggest that energy and fatigue are unique traits that could be defined by distinct bacterial communities, not driven by diet. Now, this quote comes from a very long study published in, let's see, the source down here, Nutrients, the journal Nutrients. I found this on the National Institute of Health government website here in the United States, but you can see the source down below. But this quote, what this quote is basically saying is that energy and fatigue can be influenced by distinct bacterial communities. In other words, targeted probiotics. Targeted probiotics, not necessarily driven by the diet, our food and drink. So if we want to influence our energy and fatigue in good ways, then targeted probiotics will do that in a way that just normal food and drink won't. Okay. So again, we are on the vanguard of something very, very special here at Love Biome. And you can see that the scientific community bears that up. Another quote that I found in my research that I thought was awesome to share: a healthy gut microbiome will maximize your body's ability to break down and absorb nutrients and energy from the food you eat. So when we're taking care of our microbiome, when we are planting good colony forming units of good bacteria in our guts, then that bacteria is helping us to absorb nutrition and express that nutrition in energy, right? And so when we are taking care of that gut microbiome, we're really, really enhancing our body's ability to produce and harvest good energy. That is the headline here. That's the story with PhytoPower E. The gut microbiome is emerging as a key modulator of human energy balance. Those who engaged in a, quote, microbiome enhancer diet saw increase in energy output, cell copy rate, and fermentation activity within the body. Now, I paraphrased a rather long and heavily scientific quote. You can see the source here. This comes from a journal called, yes, Nature Community. Anyway, the source is down there at the bottom. But scientists are just discovering the connection between the gut microbiome and energy expression. And what they did in this study was they put half of the group, the control group, on what they called the Western diet, which is just kind of your average American diet. And then they used the study group and they put them on what they called a microbiome enhancer diet, full of probiotics and other, prebiotics and good healthy foods that kind of enhance and express the gut microbiome health. And what they found in the microbiome enhancer diet group was that their cells were regenerating faster, their energy output was better, they were metabolizing food better, and the fermentation activity in their gut. You've heard Zach Onderud talk a lot about this. The natural fermentation processes in their guts were working better, more efficiently, and the activity was greater. So, in other words, what does that mean? More energy, more mental clarity, more resistance to fatigue, better recovery, that kind of thing. So when we introduce good, healthy ingredients and products into our guts thank us for that in all kinds of different ways. And one of those ways is better energy production and better energy harvesting. So very, very cool stuff about PhytoPower E. You guys, PhytoPower E it's a favorite around here. Like I said, it tastes great. It looks amazing. It's so easy to talk about. It's easy to share. Look at these little PhytoPower E sticks. You can see one on the screen and you can see one in my camera. They're just beautiful. They're lovely. They're fun. They work. You can feel something immediately. And, you've heard me talk about caffeine before. My caffeine habits are not great, but when I need something, when I need a little boost, PhytoPower E is outstanding, and it makes me feel good, and it tastes great, and I love PhytoPower E so very much. So now I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts about PhytoPower E? And I would love to read some quick shot testimonials from you guys about how you use PhytoPower E, how you love PhytoPower E, and how you share PhytoPower E. So if you've got a quick little story to share, I would love to read some in the chat box. First of all, Raina Parsons says, love the PhytoPower E with the little green heart. I love that. Thank you, Raina, for sharing that. We love PhytoPower E so much. Sean says, PhytoPower E helps me think faster. And I love that, right? When you need that kind of, I'll tell you, I feel a lot in the early to mid afternoon, when you're kind of like, maybe you just had lunch and your day is kind of getting a little longer and you kind of need that focus, right? That mental acuity. PhytoPower E, it's so awesome for that. Okay, now the comments are starting to roll in. Fred Harris says, PhytoPower E is my favorite, period. End of sentence. Gives me the long-lasting boost that my body needs. Awesome, Fred. Nice job. Cheryl Hill Bruni says, helps me to focus better. Nikki says, my sister used to drink a Red Bull or two every day. She now drinks PhytoPower E and feels so much better. Guys, if we could ditch the energy drinks, the sodas, the sugary drinks, let's ditch all that stuff. Let's get the natural goodness of PhytoPower E. No added sugars, no added colors, no artificial flavors, nothing like that. This is from natural earth sources, right? Natural caffeine, natural impact ingredients. I love that. Thank you, Nikki. Valencia says, when I use E, it takes so much longer to reach exhaustion when I exercise. I'm doing so much more. The time to fatigue, right? That's a big kind of a buzzword in the exercise community. How can you increase the time to fatigue? And that's exactly what V is talking about here, is when she drinks PhytoPower E, she can do more until she feels like she can't do anymore. Charles Viesa said it increases my energy and stamina at the gym. Sylvia says, love it. I am an endurance athlete and use it for workouts instead of caffeine. Oh my gosh, lots of things here. Eileen says, agreed, Adam, great for midday boost, mental clarity. My son uses for workouts with wonderful results, and he is a college professor. Love PhytoPower E. I love that. Thank you, Eileen. Diz says improved concentration. I think that's a translation from Tina Ho. Awesome, Diz. Thank you for translating, and thank you, Tina, for that amazing testimonial. And Anna Melville says it's a great energy booster. There are so many great testimonials here. Look at all the great positive words for PhytoPower E. Some are written in Chinese so that I can't read them, but some are written in English, and I've tried to represent some of them here. Guys, PhytoPower E is the real deal, and PhytoPower products are the real deal, and LoveBiome is the real deal. Every time we talk about even one of our products, I just get this sense that we are on the cutting edge of something so cool and so fun and so customer friendly and shareable and just awesome. And so I hope that this discussion about PhytoPower E has fired you up. I hope it has motivated you to go out and share some of these amazing products, use them yourselves, make them a part of your daily routine, and add them to your subscription profile, because PhytoPower E, PhytoPower B, PhytoPower W, all of them are these are the best of the best, and every one of them are worthy of your time and attention. So thank you guys for being a part of this amazing discussion.